Welcome back to The Truth of Money, where we follow the money to find the truth the mainstream media won't tell you. 1492. August 3rd, morning. Three small ships depart from the port of Palos, Spain. Their commander, a dreamer Italian navigator named Christopher Columbus. 90 crew members, limited supplies, and a journey into the unknown. 70 days later, on October 12th, the course of history would change forever. With the cry, "Land ho!" America was discovered. But here's the shocking question. That same year, at that same time, the Ottoman Empire, possessing one of the world's most powerful navies, ruling 3 continents with treasuries overflowing with gold, was just watching. In our previous video, we explored how the conquest of Constantinople transformed the Ottomans into the world's wealthiest empire. Remember, after 1453, all east-west trade routes came under Ottoman control. Customs were collected from Italian merchants on the Silk Road. Massive taxes were earned from the spice trade. So here's today's big question. Why didn't such a wealthy, such a powerful empire participate in the discovery that would change the world? The story I'm about to tell you is one of history's greatest what-if questions. And believe me, the answer is far more fascinating than you might think. If you're ready, let's begin our journey through time. Let's set the scene first. The world of the 1490s was completely different from today. The Renaissance had begun in Europe. Leonardo da Vinci was working in his studio. Knowledge was spreading incredibly fast thanks to the printing press. But economically, Europe was struggling because there was only one way to access the riches of the East: spices, silk, porcelain, passing through Ottoman territories. And the Ottomans? They charged heavy taxes for passage. Venetian and Genoese merchants were now dependent on the Ottomans. For every sack of spice loaded, every bolt of silk, gold flowed into the Ottoman treasury. Now you understand Europe's desperation. Either they would pay the Ottomans or they would find a new route. Portugal tried to reach India by sea, by sailing around the Cape of Good Hope. Long, dangerous, but possible. Spain? They had a crazier idea. Reach the east by going west. The world is round, right? So if you sail west, you'll eventually reach India. And that's how Christopher Columbus set out with this idea. Now let me tell you the shocking truth. The Ottoman Empire had everything needed to discover America. In fact, in some ways, they were more advantaged than Spain. At the end of the 15th century, the Ottoman Navy was the undisputed ruler of the Mediterranean. Over 200 warships. Thousands of experienced sailors. During Fatih Sultan Mehmet's era, the Navy was so powerful that even Venice was trembling. Columbus's fleet? 3 small ships and 90 men. If the Ottomans had wanted, sending a 50-ship fleet would have been child's play. Spain's Ferdinand and Isabella had to pawn the crown jewels to finance Columbus. For the Ottomans, these exploration expenses wouldn't even amount to a week's budget. And here's the most surprising part. Piri Reis. Have you heard this name? The Ottomans' greatest admiral and cartographer? In 1513, just 21 years after Columbus's discovery, he drew an incredibly detailed map showing the American coastline. This map is on the UNESCO World Heritage List today. Piri Reis's map was so detailed that it showed the southern coasts of America, even the coastline of Antarctica. How did he do it? He combined Columbus's maps, ancient Greek sources, and Arab sailors' knowledge. The Ottomans' accumulated knowledge was tremendous. So I repeat, the Ottomans could have done it. Ships? Check money? Check knowledge? Check courage? Check the Ottomans knew no fear. So then, why didn't they go? The answer to this question cannot be reduced to a single reason. This is the story of 5 interconnected major factors, and each one helps us understand an empire's mindset, priorities, even its destiny. Are you ready? Because now I'm going to explain the first 3 reasons, and these will change everything. Reason 1, geography determined destiny, the trap of enclosed seas. Look at the map, really look. Where are Spain and Portugal? Right on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. For them, sailing west was a natural move. You leave your port, go straight west, open ocean. But the Ottomans, what happens if you want to go west from Istanbul? First, you'll cross the Dardanelles Strait, then the Aegean Sea, Mediterranean, Strait of Gibraltar, and finally the Atlantic Ocean. Do the math. To reach the Atlantic from Istanbul requires traveling approximately 3,000 kilometers inland. From Spain, you sail directly to the ocean. But the geographical disadvantage isn't that simple. The real problem was ship technology. Galley versus carrack, two different worlds. Ottoman ships, especially galleys, were perfect for the Mediterranean. Why? Because the Mediterranean is an enclosed, calm, predictable sea. Galleys were long, narrow ships that worked with oars. They could move even when there was no wind. They were superb in inter-island battles in the Mediterranean, on short-distance trade routes. But the Atlantic Ocean? A completely different beast. 10-meter waves. Storms that could last weeks. Unpredictable winds. Rowing in the ocean? Impossible. You can only rely on sails. Spanish and Portuguese ships, carracks and caravels, were designed exactly for this. Wide-hulled, deep-draft, large-sailed ships. They could stay in the open ocean for months. Crossing the Atlantic with Ottoman galleys, it would be a suicide mission. Now think about this. You're an Ottoman sultan. Your naval forces are invincible in the Mediterranean. But someone comes to you and says, "Your Majesty, let's sail into an unknown ocean. Maybe we'll find something." What would you say? Why? We're already defeating everyone in the Mediterranean. Geography is not just a map, it's a mindset. The Ottomans saw themselves as masters of enclosed seas. Oceans? That was a different game. Reason 2. The wealth paradox. Being too successful is sometimes a curse. This is very important. Listen carefully. Why did Spain and Portugal venture west into the unknown? The answer is simple. Because they had to. They couldn't access India's spices, China's silks, the riches of the East. Because all these trade routes were under Ottoman control. Istanbul. The world's ATM, every caravan passing through Istanbul paid customs. Every merchant ship docking in Istanbul paid taxes. Spices came from Alexandria, passed through Istanbul, reached Europe. The Ottomans made money at every stage. Let me give you a number. A Venetian merchant, when selling spices bought from India to Europe, paid 400 to 500% of the price. Because along the way there were dozens of intermediaries, customs, taxes, and most of them were in Ottoman territories. For the Ottomans, the situation was, the world is already bringing us gold. Why should we go looking for it? Europe's desperation. This situation kept the Spanish and Portuguese kings up at night. Demand for Eastern luxuries was incredible. Spices, silk, and porcelain drove European nobles crazy. But prices were astronomical. Portuguese Prince Henry didn't earn the nickname Henry the Navigator for nothing. He dedicated his life to finding ways to reach India by sea. Spain? They embraced Columbus's crazy idea of reaching the East by going west, because they had no other choice. Think about it. Spain. Fed up with paying taxes to the Ottomans, seeking alternatives, investing in risky explorations? Ottomans. Already wealthy, already powerful, sitting comfortably. Was this a sign of weakness? No. Was this a sign of strength? Yes. But history taught us a bitter lesson. Today's power is not tomorrow's guarantee. During the reign of Bayezid II, 1481 to 1512, the treasury was so full that there was no shortage of gold in the palace. The Sultan could generously spend on scientists, artists, and architects. So the Ottomans thought, gold is already coming to us, why should we go looking for it? Fatal error, not seeing the change. But here's the tragedy. When Spain and Portugal returned from America, their ships were filled with gold and silver. Aztec and Inca treasures flowed into Europe. In the mid-1500s, the European economy was transformed, and most importantly, trade routes changed. They were no longer dependent on the Ottomans. The Ottomans? As they entered the 1600s, caravans passing through Istanbul decreased. Portuguese dominance began in the Indian Ocean. Mediterranean trade declined. The wealth paradox. You resist change because you're so successful, and this resistance weakens you. Reason 3. Strategic priorities, real threats. We're at the door 1492. While Columbus was sailing to the ocean, do you know what Bayezid II was dealing with? In the east, the Safavid Empire was rising, a Shia state in Iran, challenging the Ottomans' Sunni authority in the north. The Grand Duchy of Moscow was strengthening. The danger that would become the Russian Empire was growing in the west. Austria-Hungary, the Holy Roman Empire. Christian European coalition was trying to encircle the Ottomans in the south. Mamluk Sultanate, still a powerful rival in Egypt. The Ottoman borders were a battle line. In every direction there were real, concrete, immediate threats, a sultan's choice. Now put yourself in the sultan's position. Option A, fight your current enemies, conquer the lands you know, take strategically important cities, gain concrete benefits. Option B, send a fleet to an unknown ocean. Maybe you'll find something, maybe you won't. Wait for results for months or years. What would your choice be? The Suleiman era, peak of power. Let's come to the 1520s. Suleiman the Magnificent ascends to the throne. 1521. Belgrade was conquered. 1522. Rhodes was conquered. 1526. Battle of Mohacs. Hungary was crushed. 1529. Vienna was besieged. Europe trembled. 1534. Baghdad was conquered. 1538. Battle of Preveza. The Mediterranean became an Ottoman lake. With so many victories, so many triumphs, who ventures into the unknown? The Ottoman strategy was clear. Conquering the known world was more logical than searching for the unknown world. And frankly, in the first half of the 16th century, this strategy was working. The Ottomans were at their peak. Now ask yourself this. You're at the gates of Vienna, Europe fears you, your treasury is full. At such a moment, who says, let's sail to the ocean? Perhaps the Ottomans' mistake wasn't failing to do something they shouldn't have done. Their mistake was failing to foresee future change. These three reasons, geography, wealth, and strategic priorities, explain the first layers of why the Ottomans didn't go to America. But the story doesn't end here. These were just the visible reasons. The real deep causes lie hidden in the Ottoman mindset, culture, and knowledge system. In the next video, I'll tell you about the difference between the Ottoman conquest mindset and Europe's discovery madness. The tragic consequences of the printing press ban, Piri Reis's forgotten genius and bitter end. And most importantly, what would the world be like if the Ottomans had gone to America? Don't miss the second part of this story. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Turn on notifications so you'll know when part 2 is released. Write in the comments, which of the three reasons I've explained so far do you think is the most critical? See you in the next video. Get ready to dive deep into the Ottoman mindset. Goodbye.